Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of Telly Talks. So today I want to talk about the Harry and Meghan Markle interview on yesterday. It aired on CBS at 8 o'clock yesterday, and Oprah Winfrey, she did the interview. I think she did a phenomenal job of interviewing both Meghan and Harry. And I think she really dig deep. She tried to get a lot of answers out of them, even though in the beginning, they said that nothing is off limits and they'll be willing to share whatever Oprah question was. So I think she did a really good job of trying to understand the royals and how it works and everything that has transpired over the course of the years. So I don't know much about the royals. I don't know how, what the process is when someone is coming in to be married. I don't know what type of laws that they have in the UK over there. So I was interested in the story because, of course, you hear about it in the tabloids, you hear about it in the news, so you have somewhat of an idea of what might be happening. But of course, you don't, unless you're invested in that story, you don't really know too much about royalty and the royal family and how that all works. So I was completely oblivious and unaware of, again, like I said, how the royal family and how they operate and what their rules and regulations are over there. And from the outside looking in, you have these news outlets, and they're basically like telling what what the story they want to convey, whether it's true or whether it's false. And they put out this narrative that Meghan Markle is this bad person, and she basically influenced Harry to leave the royal family and all this stuff. So I think it was brave of them to come out and speak their truth. Again, there's three sides to every story: the royal family and the affiliates over there, as well as Meghan Markle, and then the truth itself. So we would never know what's really real and what's not, but I think it was brave of them to come out and speak their truth about what was happening and what they were experiencing. Even though on the outside looking in, they were this happy family, this happy couple, and she enjoyed becoming a duchess, when that was far from the truth. So, some of the questions that Oprah asked as examples were when she asked about how she was being treated. Her first initial interaction with Harry's grandmother, she said it was pleasant. They welcomed her in. But I think once the family and once the world began to realize that Harry actually was taking this mixed American woman serious, to the point where not only did he want to date her, but actually considering marriage, I think that's when things turned for the worse. And like she said in the beginning, everything was good. It seemed like everybody liked her. But after a while, things turned for the worse. And she experienced, being ostracized. She experienced racism, and even experienced wanting to take her own life at one point, because she just could not take the pressure of how she was being portrayed to the world. And so I think it's so important for you to speak your truth no matter what. It is a scary thing, and thank God they had each other. Like Harry said towards the end, he said, his mom, Diana, probably, definitely was experienced this, being ostracized and stuff like that in the royal family. She experienced that as well, but the only difference between her and them was they were able to experience it together and kind of lean on each other. And so I just think that it's important to tell your truth, because if you don't tell your side of the story, then you give the power that be or other people the power to create the story for you. And for them to be brave and to do this on national TV in front of the world and speak on the things that they were experiencing, I think this was very brave of them. And whatever repercussions come afterwards, even though they already experienced some repercussions up to this point, I think, again, it was a brave for them to speak their truth and stand on that. And sometimes when you are in a situation, especially like the royal, where things were passed down for so long that nobody ever questioned it, nobody ever spoke about it, they kind of just went with it because this was the thing to do. I remember hearing Harry say, when Meghan was reaching out for help because she was having suicidal thoughts, and they were like, they denied her, from getting any help because this was just the way it is. This is just the way they do things, and they didn't want her to, put herself in a mental institution and then have the tabloids and have everybody else question why she was in there, and then they're gonna look a certain way. So this was what it was, and this was the thing to do. And I think the problem with things being passed down for so long, rituals and ideas and behaviors being passed down for so long, I think we lose a sense of self, because you are following these traditions and these customs, and you don't understand it. Most of the time people go with it because, a sense of security, a sense of popularity, a sense of not being ostracized, a sense of just how you might be portrayed to the world. So most of the time people just go with it, even if that's something that they really deep down inside don't want to do, or don't want to be looked a certain way. Most of the time they just go with it. So for them to say, you know what, it's time for a change. I know this is what we used to do in the past. I know these things that was okay in the past, but it's a new day and age. It's 2021, where a lot of people are coming together in marriage, and they might be of different races and creating mixed babies. And I know that this probably was not something that is the norm, or something that, the royals even, I don't think they even thought about. Like I said, I don't think they even thought about it until he became really serious. He probably was saying to them, maybe to his brother, I think she's the one, and it didn't hit home, and it didn't hit other people to the level that it hit them later on, until they really knew, okay, Harry, he's really serious about this girl. And so, yeah, so the problem with, going with the flow, going with the majority, after a while, someone has to break that idea and way of doing things, you know. And unfortunately, you know, they had to be the ones who say, you know what, I can't be in this royal family if you choose to treat me in a certain way, if you choose to take away my rights, if you choose to not treat my spouse as if she was royal too, because she was married into it. She's just as important as I am, who was born into it. And unfortunately, you know, his security got taken away, his finances, and just her, you know, being in that state of mind while pregnant, wanting to die. And so, you know, it took courage for them to say, you know, enough is enough, even if that means leaving all of this behind, you know, because so many people, especially like people who have money and who are rich and have the fame and have the name, us as consumers of information, us as viewers, we don't get to see the behind the scenes. We only see what they want us to see. And for us, we can say, oh, you live in a palace, you should be good, you should be happy, you shouldn't be complaining. But behind the closed doors, you don't know what's going on. And money, while it is good, it helps us get to the next level, it's not the end all and be all. You know, it's not something that you would rather trade your integrity and your life and your freedom and your happiness for. I think any good person will say, I'll choose me over the money. And that's what they did, you know. They left everything behind because Harry, he said something so profound, and at first I was like, hold up, is he just saying that not Mary, because Megan is probably like, may have, you know, put something in his ear. But he said something so profound, and I don't remember all the words and how he used it, but he said something to the fact that she saved me. I think Oprah said, do you think Megan saved you or something like that? And he said, yeah, I think she saved me because he was trapped and didn't know he was trapped. And when he first said that, I was like, come on, bro. Like, even Oprah, she was like, what do you mean you were trapped? Like, you was living lavish, you was living in this palace, you didn't want for anything. Like, you literally had it all. How can you feel trapped? And I also felt that way too. And this just goes back to what I just now said about how people who we look up to and we think they have it all, and we think that they're happy because they put on these smiles and they show these fancy cars and they show these fancy houses, and yet still not happy. Or how you can completely take your own life and can be at the top, you know, you can be the top seller, you can be the most, you know, whatever it is, have the most money in the world and still kill yourself, because it just shows you money is not everything. And so he said, I was trapped and didn't know I was trapped until, I guess, Megan kind of helped him realize that she wasn't born into the royal family, so she didn't come into the mindset of, okay, I have this idea of how royalty is supposed to be. She was kind of an independent woman. She spoke her truth. She had her own voice, and that's all she knew to do. And then I think Harry, seeing how she can be independent and she can tell people, you know, what it is that she wants, what it is she expects, and for them to either accept it or not, and she can still walk away and be okay with that. I think that's when Harry realized, you know, I need this person in my life, because she's not willing to compromise her life. She's not willing to compromise her freedom, her happiness, just to fit in and just to be a part of this societal norm. So Harry, he said that he was trapped and didn't know he was trapped. And I think that just goes to show you that sometimes you need to be put in a situation or you know, be in a relationship or a friendship or whatever it is with someone, or even like a family member or something. Looking from the outside in, they can tell you like, that's not a good thing, that's not a good situation, that's not, that person don't really love you, you know, that person, because when you're in it, you don't think nothing's wrong. When you're in it and it becomes your norm, you don't think like, you know, oh, I'm not you know, this is what we normally do, this is just what we do. And unfortunately, like I said, that they had to go through this and relocate and start over, but it was for the best. It was for the best. Harry is now, I believe, much more happier, you know. And then as a man, I believe he had to take a stand. A real man is going to stand up for his woman and stand up for his family and stand up for the ones that he loves. And he had to take a stand, even if it means leaving his family behind, you know, because the Bible say, you know, that a man will leave his mom and leave his parents and cleave to his wife. And this is exactly what he did, you know. This is his family now. He actually is responsible for her life. He is responsible for his wife's safety and her well-being. And if that means leaving behind tradition and what he thought was okay and what he known to be the norm, leaving it all behind for the sake of his family, I think he did the right thing. And this was a good story because even in our own life, you know, we don't think something's wrong until it either hits home, hits you personally. We think it's okay for people to treat you a certain way. We think it's okay for people to speak to you a certain way. We think it's okay for you to be quiet and not have a voice and not speak up for yourself, because for so long you just been quiet and you just, because your love for that person or that thing, you allowed your voice to be quiet, you know, when you should have spoke up, when you should have said something, because you love them so much, you didn't want to hurt them, so you silence your own voice inside. And that part is what hurts the most, when you can't be honest and you can't speak your truth and, you know, and say it to the people that you love, and that it will be received well, that it won't be received with hate or taken away of things. You know, why can't I say how I really feel and you still love me? You know, we're not gonna agree, but at least allow me to say my truth, allow me to speak. And so, yeah, so anyway, that story was good. Like, if you don't really know much about the royals, it's not like you had to do research prior to watching this interview or anything like that. She just literally spoke what she experienced, and can't nobody take that away from you. Can't nobody tell you how to feel in that moment, because we all can say what we could have done differently had we been in that situation, but you won't know how you would have reacted or responded until you're actually in that situation. And so she did what was best for her as well as Harry. And so you didn't have to know a whole lot of about the royals. You just had to know that this was two people who were in a situation that was toxic. They voiced how they feel. They did everything that they could to get help. Help was not offered, so therefore they had to take matters into their own hands. And that's our life. That's all of us today. All of us could be easily put in a situation where it's you versus me. At the end of the day, is your happiness versus my happiness, and at the end of the day, I choose me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully, if you haven't got a chance to watch the interview, you go back and watch it. It's very talked about. I kind of wanted to talk about it and not look at the media and what they had to say. I kind of wanted to form my own analyzation, form my own opinion about what happened, and kind of just, speak on what I saw and how I interpreted it, because I didn't want the news and the media, because the news and the media is so famous for putting something in front of you and giving you this story, even if it's not real, for you to believe it. They're so good at wanting you to believe what it is they want you to believe versus believing the truth and what it is. And so I was glad that I didn't, hear the naysayers and the this and the that about what happened and the interview and all that. I kind of was able to watch it and then form my own opinion and then say it here. So again, if you haven't got a chance to watch the interview, please go back and do it. And hope you guys are learning something from these videos. I think everything is a teachable moment, even if it's somebody else's experience. I think everybody can be taught some type of lesson in everything. Nobody is too smart to learn. I think if you come to the point where you know it all, then you must be God, because only God knows it all. And we all can learn from something or someone each and every day. And so I hope you guys are just learning something, and I hope that you guys be blessed, and I will see you next time on another Telly Talks.